Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today I have the opportunity to do a product review. I was sent this reel by Seasir, and well, we're going to take it to the next level. We're going to take a look at this reel. It's available online. It sells for approximately $40, and I get a lot of questions all the times about what are these intermediate priced reels without the recognizable brand names. What are they all about? Are they a good purchase or not? And of course the answer is always it depends, because well, we want to know a little bit more about them, and we're going to try and do that today for us. So the reel is a Seasir Cast X2. I know it looks like a Z, but it's a 2, and it's a bait casting reel, and it seems to be packed with an awful lot of features and functions. And we'll review those, and we'll see if it represents the value or not that we would like to see in a fishing reel. So it's a bait casting reel, and it's a right-handed bait casting reel. And as we take it out of the box, it's neatly packaged. First thing I notice is it's very lightweight, and well, it seems smooth to operate. So let's take a look at what we can find here on information, and what the specs are on the reel, and then we're going to take the reel apart. We'll see what it looks like on the inside. So the manual goes into the traditional stuff that you would like to see in a manual: how to mount it onto your rod, how to add line, how to adjust the mag brake, and how to cast the reel. What I'm not seeing in here is a warranty. I'm not seeing a schematic diagram, and well, I don't see anything really about customer contact other than there's a WhatsApp phone number you can call, and well, maybe I'll do a scan of that QR code about the WhatsApp as well. Maybe there's some additional information on that. Well, as we know, with a lot of these reels in today's marketplace, one of the downsides of the price is that you don't get product support. You can't find the replacement pieces and parts for it, and something as simple as looking for that schematic in order to take it apart and maintain it, well, those could be considered downsides. So we're going to take a look at this, and let's see feature by feature, because I'm impressed by the features that are in this reel at the price point that it is at. So let's start with a couple of things here. Of course, the brand is Seasir, and the model is the Cast X2. There was a Cast X1. This is a low-profile bait casting reel. It turns with either the right hand, or you can get a left-handed model of this reel. It's the bait casting reel on this size is capable of going inshore ocean, but a lot of us think about a reel like this as a bassing reel or a freshwater reel. Interestingly enough, one of the things that it mentioned in this literature here is it was designed in Japan, manufactured in China. And a lot of these reels are starting to make it onto the market. We're seeing those kinds of things in other brands you're familiar with. I'm not familiar with this brand, but we're certainly seeing an awful lot of these reels like this coming about over the course of the last few years now. It's a high-speed gear ratio. It says it's 7.3 to 1. It has an incredible 18 pounds of drag. That's fairly significant. It only weighs just a little bit under 7 ounces. So you can see where you're pitching this rod, and throwing the reel, and doing the casting and retrieving on a regular basis all day, and you shouldn't get a fatigue from the casting due to its light weight. Now, lightweight usually comes at an expense. There's usually something that sacrifices the weight and strength. So this one does say that it has a lot of carbon fiber in it, like the handle and the like. I'm going to see where that is. It's hard for me to imagine. This more looks like plastic of some description, but it does have the lighter weight. We'll see where the gears are, and we'll see how they're making it up. It does have an aluminum spool, and it does claim to have a couple of other things inside of it, which I'm kind of excited about. One of the things it says is that we have 6 ball bearings on it, 6+1. If they're in the right place, that's always important. I like to see a bearing on this side And on this side, I like to see the bearing inside on the main gear, and well, the +1 would be the anti-reverse. And then if the other ones happen to be, well, handle bearings or things like that, they become less important. This does have a very smooth and even operation to it. I got to tell you, from the just turning it and seeing how the performance is off of a rod, I'm impressed. I'm impressed by what I see. It also mentions that it's using ceramic bearings as opposed to the less expensive carbon steel or steel bearings, and that will have an effect on the performance as well, particularly on the maintenance of them, since those ceramic bearings don't tend to rust. They're smoother than the ordinary bearings, and they're more resistant to corrosion. It does have a mag brake on it, so this can be adjusted. It also mentions that there's a unique bearing in here as well that has a bearing inside by the pinion gear to help with the flex of the pinion gear, stabilizing that for a little bit less torsion on that when you're reeling in the line. And another feature to note on this one is the actual line guide itself. The line guide is elliptical. You can see that it's an oval pattern on that line guide, as opposed to, well, a more common circular one, and that tends to smoothen out the retrieve. Okay, well, a lot about that itself. Let's go take this apart and see what we got. Again, at the price point of around $40 US, I think that's a bargain if all of these things are lining up. It says it has brass gearing in here and ceramic bearings. If you've got brass gears, ceramic bearings in a lightweight package, well, I think you're doing pretty good. We're going to start by taking off the retention clip. You do that by removing the nut or screw in the handle, and then that's your retention clip. And because we don't have this schematic, I would recommend that you take pictures if you're going through the process of pulling apart one of these reels, because, well, other than maybe a second chance tackle site, you may not have the opportunity to find out how to put it back together again. So we've removed that nut. The handle nut should be a standard 10mm. It is. We're going to just break that nut, and then we should be able to remove the nut cap. So we have an oil port under the cap here, and I think one of the things that would be important about this reel is keeping the reel oiled and maintained. So periodically you would want to remove that cap, add a drop of oil into there. The handle should come up now, and I guess the carbon fiber on it is a carbon fiber knob. This is a metal handle here. Okay, this is one of those things, we've seen them on Daiwa reels and the like. It has a spring-loaded star adjuster on there. It will come up and off, and then what follows is a spring, and then you have the adjuster nut, and that adjuster nut is what's going to put the tension onto the drag washer assembly. You should be able to remove this with your fingers. If you can't, use a wrench to get it to the point where you can. Now, we just did a Daiwa Tatula, and that had a plastic nut here. I'm wondering if this one's plastic or not as well. When I take the pieces and parts off, I put them into a tray. I make sure that the parts are organized so that when it's time to reinstall them, I know where I can find them. This is an aluminum nut. That's going to help with corrosion as well, or reducing corrosion. You're going to notice on the nut that there's a groove on the one side, it's flat on the other. The groove side is going to face up to accept that spring that we removed. Next off is a flat washer. Then we have a couple of tension washers here. We have two tension washers. They're not flat, they have a curve to them. They go next. And then we have another flat washer. So you have flat, then you have those two beveled washers. And I'm just going to lay those right up there in the sequence that I took those off. All right, we should be able to remove the side plate now. I believe that it looks like there's 1, 2, 3 screws. There may be another one under the spool. So let's go ahead and remove the spool. You do that by flipping the switch on the bottom here. And okay, this one swings out. So this one's on a pivot, and you can remove the spool by removing the pivot. Yeah, we have ceramic bearings. This is a high point. This is a good thing to see. We have a ceramic bearing on the spool, and assuming we're going to have a ceramic bearing in the case. Yes, we have a ceramic bearing in the case. So those of you that are fans of ceramic bearings, you can always tell them they're the orange bearings. And we have that in the case. And yes, we do have a screw that's holding this case on. You can see it here. So actually, I'm going to take that screw out first. So I'm not going to service this reel. It's a new reel. But what I am going to do is show you the interior of the reel. I'd like to see it myself. It does say that we have brass. I'll just close this case up here and lock that in for a moment. It does say we have brass gearing, and quite honestly, for this price point, around $40, this is quite something. So we have 2. I'm putting these out to make sure that they're all the same size as I remove them. This is the 3rd one. 1, 2, 3, and one more on the back here. So again, taking the pictures along the way, that way you know what you have in terms of sequences, orientations, and so on when it's time to reinstall. And I'll just leave them there. Okay, there is a standard metal bearing on the cap here, and let's just pull the top and see what else we have here. We have the 2 tension springs. I always kind of warn about these. These are yoke springs. They seem to be embedded into the some kind of a little holder here. That's cool. I take those off right away. I don't want to lose those anywhere. They tend to pop. They belong on the posts here. And we have another bearing that's for the post of the spool. So that's all good. And again, if we were servicing this reel, a drop of oil onto the bearing here, which is not ceramic, and a drop of oil onto the bearing here. Well, let's just take another quick look at this, because I'm impressed so far. All right, bearing up top. Then we have our anti-reverse clutch and collar. Notice on this one, there's a flat side and kind of a rounded side. You need to make sure that you identify the difference between the two, because you don't want to put them in upside down. The reel won't work for you. In this case, we got something of a pattern with some slots on this side. On the bottom side, it's flush. So make sure when you go to reinstall, it is facing up with those slot sides. You have that big bearing, big gear, which makes for the large ratio of the gear ratio, particularly when you have a small pinion gear. Let's see if we can't remove this. I think we'll probably remove that. And then underneath here, these look to be, that one looks to be carbon fiber in terms of a drag washer. It's got a little bit of a unique interior here. So we have 2 shim washers on top. And we have a cap washer with, well, with a noisemaker on it. Isn't that interesting? And then we have a metal washer here. So we have a carbon fiber washer. That looks undersized. A metal washer, another carbon fiber washer. A click ratchet. A carbon fiber washer. The top washer with that little tag, which is going to be your click for your letting out the drag notice. Very good. I like that. That's the first time I've seen that. And then we have our pinion gear and yoke. And hard to see. I think that is a bearing. I'm just going to grab a little piece here. It appears to be a bearing. It's hard for me to see that, but That appears to be a bearing. Just trying to find a screwdriver I might be able to use to turn to see. No, I don't have it right. Yeah, that's a bearing. That's interesting. I haven't seen that set up there. If you pull those two screws, you'll get the verification on it. That's a bearing. And that bearing is going to snug up against the outside of the pinion gear, and it's going to keep it from wobbling. So, nice. All right, so a lot of good features in this reel. All right, I'm going to reset the pieces back. We have plastic here that's driving your worm gear. Plastic drive off the back of the main gear shaft. We have a click ratchet here. That's going to sit down. I think if I was wanting to be overly critical, and I'm not, I like the reel, we have a plastic trip arm here. So when we go down to cast, to go into free spool, this is going to push the yoke up like that. And it's going to sit in this trip lever here, like this. And that trip lever is going to push it all back, over, push it up and out of the way, and those springs that you saw before are going to push it down. So that's how the free spool works. And I do notice that there is a little metal kind of an insert here on that piece of plastic where it is going to be taking the banging. So, okay, lessons learned, good things to see. Well, if you're interested in purchasing this, they did provide me a link, and the link will be in the description of the video, and you can go link in there, and you can make the purchase. This has got a light oiling on it. Again, it's new, I'm not going to touch it, but it's got a light oiling on it for lubrication. Again, I think these probably could be bigger. So you're going to be compromising your max drag because these washers seem undersized for the size of that gear. You could probably go up quite a bit, and I suspect you can probably buy a washer set with the inner diameter hole the same and the external diameter wider. Again, not sure. It may be that because of this click mount that some of those need to be smaller, but the way that this sequence will be is a first drag washer, and then we have a washer that's called a keyed washer that goes next. That should fill in the gaps there, and that one's a little bit undersized. Next to the carbon text washers, then we have that noisemaker that goes in. Then we have our top washer. Then when you seat this one, make sure that little tag end is down. I guess this is probably a two-step here. You want to load that in first. Then bring this one over. And then there's a little tab piece here that's going to fit on, so make sure that it's inside that tab. Okay. And then there's the flat washer that goes next. Our anti-reverse assembly is next up. Remember what we said, the space side faces up. Another bearing. And I think we'll come over to the case and we'll get those other two springs. Put those in. I'll close the case back up. Now again, if you're servicing this, you want to make sure that you put a drop of oil onto that bearing there. I would drop of oil onto the bearing there, a little more grease onto the gears, and you should be set. And of course, oil that bearing as well. Let's go ahead and take the top, put that back in. That fits in nice and easy. We have our case screws. I'll start one on the side, so I don't need to use my hands as that clasp the whole way. But I'm liking what I'm seeing. So what have we learned so far? We've learned that this is a lightweight reel. It seems like the design is very well. I like the idea of the carbon fiber to reduce some of the weight, but it doesn't. I'm not sure it makes that much of a difference. I believe the case itself is plastic. I do like the ceramic bearings on the spool. That's going to contribute to a longer lasting and less maintenance required type of a setup. We also saw the other 4 bearings. We saw one up at the spool side. We saw one inside on the pinion gear, which I think is unique. I kind of like that. We saw one on the main gear, so that was 5 there. And we got one more screw to put in here, so let's knock this back. That was the bearing that just fell out. That's okay, don't panic. And one on this side here. So again, it's Seasir. We haven't seen that brand show up in many places. I did a quick search on Amazon. It's not there yet. That doesn't mean it won't be, but it's not there at the moment. And overall, I think right now you have to order this through AliExpress and some of the other sites. But overall, I'm liking what I'm seeing. Very lightweight reel again. Carbon ceramic bearing. And again, if you're servicing it, you want to get a little bit of oil or grease onto the shaft there. Put that back in, close this up. I guess we didn't mention, looks like there's the magnetic system is on the back side here. We saw that with the adjustments. Let's lock this down. Back on this side again, the bearing goes on. This is the way we set it up. You have a flat washer. You have the 2 curve washers. I like to put the belly up on the first tension washer and down on the second one. That's for the sensitivity on the star adjuster itself. Flat washer goes next. Then we can go to my parts tray there. The washer, or the nut with the rim recess facing up. Do that by hand. You don't want to cross strip the nut or the gear shaft. Tighten it down as much as you can. Bring your spring goes next. It nestles into that little slot in the nut. And we'll take the star adjuster and press down on that so you can hold it with your fingers while you load the handle. Again, you could put a drop of oil into there. Handle goes on. Next up then, you want to start that nut cap. Again, do that by hand so you don't strip. And then you can tighten down that nut cap. It's a 10 millimeter. And generally, if you have the point of this nut cap pointing towards the hole, you will align that nut cap. Tie down. I like that, it worked. Maybe just a little bit off. Okay. So just as a recap of this, it's a lightweight reel. It's under 7 ounces. It has a 6+1 ball bearing system, 2 of those being ceramic ball bearings on the spools. It has a nice smooth operation at a high speed, is 7.3 to 1. And overall, it's a very attractive reel, so it just runs nice and smooth. Well, that's it. That's my review of the Cast X2 by Seasir, available online for about $40. I think it's a great value. And of course, those of you that watch my channel know that's an honest assessment. So I hope you've enjoyed that. And if you did, well, maybe you want to pick yourself up one. There is a link in the video description for those of you that have an interest. Everybody, stay well, stay healthy, and have a great day. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle.